Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Rosie here, and it's interesting all the shit we've been getting lately. Talk to Me's out right now. I need to go see that. Exorcist, Saw, The Meg 2. That's probably not really horror. It's not really horror. The Nun 2. Horror fans are getting a lot of shit. And in the later half of this year, where it kind of felt like before we were kind of starved. We got Insidious, but before Insidious, I don't even remember the last horror movie I went to see in the theater. Yeah, Evil Dead. I saw that. So before it was Evil Dead, and it just feels like we've been kind of starved for some new content lately. There was one I remember I did skip, but I don't remember which one that was. Fuck it. But the later half of this year, it's going to be offering nothing but the best, as it turns out. The best in quotes. Obviously, not all this is going to be exceptional and good, but we're getting shit. We are getting shit. And one of the things that we're getting is Saw X, Saw 10, whatever the fuck you want to call it. We're getting a new Saw movie, which, again, at this point, lads, for Saw, it's like it's the 10th movie, bro. You kind of get this shit by now. You kind of get what we're doing here at this here point. So, like, this isn't a similar situation where it's like when you have, like, in The Exorcist, the whole world is shitting on it because of a lot of various reasons. Like, it's not going to be as good as the OG. What are we even doing here? Blah, blah, blah. This is Saw 10. A lot of, like, at this point, when the movie comes out for Saw, it's just kind of an excuse for the fans to go, oh, get fucking destroyed. Like that at this point, that's what Saw is. And what really makes me happy is, like, this trailer seems to understand that to a degree. But it also the people that make Saw clearly love it, and that goes a long way with making something that your fans are also gonna like, because they are fans of their own shit. You're never gonna have Saw do a fucking Halloween end situation where they're going to take John Kramer and character assassinate him. You're never gonna see, like, Saw, a very safe franchise. You're never gonna see anything like that get done here. You're not going to see anything groundbreaking. You're not going to see any risk get taken. You're not going to see anything new, and, like, you're not going to see anything like that either. So, like, Saw's never going to release another great movie ever again. They're never going to release another masterpiece. But at the same time, you're never going to see something insulting as fuck like you saw with Halloween Ends. You're never going to see that. And what you do get here with this trailer is you get sent back in the timeline. We really needed that. We just really needed that. But let's go ahead and start playing it. We'll play a little bit of it, of course. I've already seen it 25 times again, you know.
The cancer is still spreading. I'm afraid there's nothing else we can do. There is one person who might be able to help.
Our program is a two-pronged treatment outside Mexico City. The results have been stunning.
First of all, what you notice right away is that, you know, you get first-person shots from Jigsaw's perspective, which, I mean, that might just be trailer fodder. But, like, when we're jumping back in the timeline to in between 1 and 2. Good start. Jigsaw's alive again. You don't have to do any bullshit to get him in there. One of the biggest weaknesses and things that makes the franchise kind of laughable is, but, like, the amount of shit that they shoehorn into this man's life before he's dead is truly astounding. The amount of shit they make this man do is unbelievable. And, like, the months that he has left to live. Because, like, at the same time, here's the problem. You gave the most important character in your franchise terminal illness. Okay, well, the problem is you can't just keep him alive. You have to kill him because he has terminal illness, and it's not terminal illness otherwise. So they bit the bullet and did that, but it's like, oh, we just killed the best character, the best actor. We killed our franchise. That's why the later ones, there's such an attempt to get him back in there. Like, that's why 7 was one of the worst ones, because he's not in there at all, but for, like, one scene. Of course, you have the voiceovers and shit. But it's like, the best 2 Saw movies to me are 1, 2, and 6. 3 being number 4. Like 1, 2, 3, and 6 are the best ones in the franchise. Why? Most Jigsaw. 3 is kind of confined to a bed the whole fucking movie. But, like, I mean, I personally really like what they chose to do in 6. I love 2. Like, I mean, okay, one he's not on screen a lot, but one was the OG concept where they got it all out there. You know what I'm saying? But so at this point, it's like 5 is abysmal, 7 is abysmal, 8 was okay, but they still shoehorned a lot of stuff in there. Spiral tried to do its own thing. It tried to move away from him, and it just was very average. Nothing spectacular there. So it's like it's like at some point you have to realize that the fans just want the fucking character back on screen. The fans just want John Kramer, Jigsaw, Toby, like that's who they want. So finally they're doing a movie that they should have probably did 10 years ago, which is a movie where he is going to be the central character. He's going to be the main protagonist of the movie, which is something that, again, they probably should have done this 10 years ago. So he's probably going to play like some kind of John Wick anti-hero, as you can kind of notice here.
She saved my life.
You're in very good hands with us.
After that, what happens then?
Your whole life happens then. John Kramer.
According to these scans, the tumor was never removed.
How much time do I have?
Months, at best.
I still have a lot of work that needs to be done.
So there's your premise. Your premise is that Jigsaw gets scammed by these fucking con men that are in Mexico. If they're actual scientists or not, that remains to be seen. I'm assuming they are, because they don't kill him or maybe they just put him asleep with anesthetics and then just left him asleep for a little bit. But like, they scammed him. They promised an experimental procedure to kind of get rid of the cancer, and then they just scammed him, didn't do anything. They left it in there. So it's like, if they're actual doctors or just pure con men, that is yet to be seen. If they are like actual like medical professionals, and like they're just doing this cheap scam to make extra cash on the side, like there's kind of like potential here for some kind of like obviously 6 tried to do this a little bit, but it's just like, you know, there's some potential where it's like you could comment on the disconnect between the doctors and the scientists who kind of know more about what they're doing, and the average man that doesn't really know anything. Because you have John Kramer there asking the person the question, who's John Kramer, who's probably more intelligent than the person he's asking the question to. It's just not his field. He doesn't know this shit as well. He's an engineer, not really educated in that field. So it's like you have the potential of these scientists to use what they know to screw the everyman, right? There's that kind of potential. There's some of that potential con stuff kind of going on there, and of course, and I like the dignity of science is something that's super important. If you screw that up, it can be very hard to earn the people back that you mess it up. That's why. And then there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. Of course, the everyman's ignorance of the scientific process also is a part of that. It's just like they're two different worlds. So there's potential to play with that a little bit in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if they're going to. Again, this is a movie where somebody's going to have to get their own brain out and put it in a box. So this is something that this obviously isn't the most in-depth stuff in the world, but you know that you could play with it a little bit, and Saw can do that.
Hello, everyone. It's time to play a game.
That little section there is perfect. It's just like, okay, this is old school Saw, baby. This is very run of the mill 1 and 2 shit. Like, the game is set up by John Kramer. He's running the show. It's the bunch of dickheads that scammed him. This is all perfect. You dump him in, give him the fucking tape that Jigsaw made, and hit play, and he fucking starts talking to you about how you're dead, right? Like a very, very run-of-the-mill classic Saw stuff. We're not trying to get too cute. We're not trying to get too pretty. We're not trying to use it as an allegory for the police or whatever the fuck. We're not, again, like I just said, there's potential to do some of the deeper stuff here. But at the end of the day, again, this is still just fucking, this is a movie where someone has to put their brain inside of a tube, right? Like this, you know, I mean, just give the people what they want at this point, right?
You all pretended to cure me. But what I have planned for each of you is very real.
And look, Tig's back. Look at where we are in the timeline. Look at where we are in the timeline, lads, and we'll see her again at the end.
Came upon me. No light, no sound.
What you kind of notice here is that it's not really trying to be that really scary. It's not really trying to do that. The trailer's loud, in your face, showing Jigsaw as much as it possibly can. That's what we need right now, dude. Again, we're not hitting you with any revolutionary ideas at this point. Just give the fans what they want. Just give the Saw, make a Saw movie. Who the fuck cares about anything else? Of course, if you don't like Saw, this ain't gonna do anything to win you over, and it's never gonna be a top movie in the franchise. But it's gonna be another Saw movie. That's honestly, that's all we need, really.
I have not provided is your anesthetic, but trust me, you will want
Billy
to
looks
remain
great.
alert.
Like you see how loud and celebratory it is, and the upbeat music choice. They're clearly just celebrating the character. They're celebrating the franchise in an interesting way. Whereas like Spiral tried to be something different and take itself very seriously and shit. This movie seems to know what it is a bit more than Spiral did. I think. I mean, I guess I just think when you had some bigger names on board with Spiral, like I think, and stuff like that, and Jigsaw wasn't there, so maybe you felt pressure to do something different, you know. But like, just we're back to old school, and this is what we really all want, right? And the movie with its upbeat song choice, it seems to recognize and understand that.
Out of all the men to cheat, you picked John Kramer?
Oh, who's that? Who's that? Of all the men to cheat, you picked John Kramer. Who's talking there? Think about where we are in the timeline. Amanda is about to show up at the end of this trailer, and then that was your Hoffman. Hoffman will be in this. It makes no sense for him not to be in this. Especially since they called Amanda, got her back, and Hoffman might be in the second trailer if there's a second one. But, like, it makes no sense for Hoffman not to be in this. And honestly, again, I think this is what the fans want. I want us to, the biggest issue to me in the Saw franchise is you don't get to see much of Jigsaw with the apprentices, especially together. I think Amanda and Hoffman have one scene together in Saw 6, and that's to the extent of, and then of course there was the blackmail that they explain, again, they explain all that in 6. Like, they do all this crap, but, like, you never see them all together usually really doing an operation. That's what this movie needs to be. That's what this movie needs to be. And especially, especially since Amanda and Hoffman never really get it. They never really get what's going on. And the whole Saw franchise is just a perversion of John Kramer's philosophy. That's what the two apprentices do to it. They pervert it. We don't know much about Gordon, because it's only been revealed that he's doing it for like 30 seconds. And we don't know much about the Saw 8 guy, the Jigsaw guy, the Logan. We don't know much about him either. What we do know is that both Amanda and Hoffman are perversions of the Kramer philosophy. That's what they are. Not to say John Kramer's philosophy is perfect. It's got some holes. It's got some issues. But it's like John Kramer thinks it's perfect, if that makes any sense. He thinks it's perfect, and the apprentices really don't. They pervert it. They pervert it. And that's what the final game in Saw 3 is about correcting. He's trying to make Amanda follow the rules specifically, down to the T, because that's what you do. You have to obey all the rules of the game. You have to do it. And like in John's mind, this makes sense. But it's like, you could also argue that John's was never like going to see anybody else other than himself as the perfect carrier out of his idea. Because again, there's some games that don't make a lot of sense, and there's some games where the guy doesn't have a chance to save himself. It's another guy having to save another guy. Again, this is all stuff for the actual Saw reviews about how Kramer's philosophy doesn't make much sense. But the fact that it doesn't make much sense beyond a ground surface level is kind of the point. It's kind of the point, right? But like, it doesn't make sense, but he thinks it does. But the apprentices pollute it. They pollute it even further. Amanda designs unwinnable traps, or tampers with the traps that already have been designed so they'd be unwinnable. Like what Amanda does to carry the detective into the third one is straight up murder. Like the detective had no chance. She actually completes the game but gets killed anyway. That's basically, and like the curse of Jigsaw is that like his undisputed tragic ending is because when he dies, there is like killing Jigsaw doesn't matter to him, right? What makes Jigsaw's death bad is he had to watch Amanda fail right before he died, and there's nobody else to carry out what he wants to do. That is the most tragic way for him to go out in his own mind. And then the only one that is still out there is Hoffman, who's worse than Amanda is, right? Hoffman's more off the rails and unstable than Amanda is. That was the thing, where it's like Jigsaw objectively had more hope for Amanda to carry out as well than the psycho. Like Hoffman was just a straight up psychopath. Right? Hoffman was just a straight-up psychopath and a crazy person. And Jigsaw had to die knowing that Hoffman was going to be the one out there doing the game, so it was never going to be fair, right? That's kind of what everything is. He's just doing it because he's a bloodthirsty psychopath. And that in Jigsaw's mind is not what he was. The point of why I'm going into all of this specifically is that there's a lot of that stuff that you need to start showing. Like, you can show this shit with all three of them there. You can see... Like, Hoffman needs to be there, too. He needs to be there, too. They all three need to run the operation together. Kramer's the one who has to keep everyone in line. Amanda's going to be trying and basically failing. Hoffman and Amanda have to have tension, too. Like, obviously, the character stuff in this movie is not going to come from the support. Like, the supporting characters in the traps are just toys. They're just toys to the three main parts of the whole operation. You're going to have Jigsaw there, completing the trap, insisting that it's not revenge, and Hoffman's should be sitting there going, what the fuck are you talking about? Because again, this is something Hoffman never really understands. Hoffman's first trap was he got Seth, who killed his sister, right? And he got acquitted on like a technicality or some shit, so Hoffman straight up kills him with the Jigsaw trap and blames Jigsaw. And that's discovered in 6, right? Right? Yeah, you all are following me so far. So like, Hoffman never really understands the fact that it's not retribution. And the whole game in the 7th one is literally just designed to get the cops out so we can go kill Jigsaw's wife. Which is basically the closest thing he can do to get revenge on Jigsaw for screwing him in the 6th one. Because part of Jigsaw's will was to try to make sure Hoffman gets tested and hopefully just dies, right? You could argue that was just a straight-up assassination attempt by Jigsaw on Hoffman, because Hoffman's the psychopath, right? And Jigsaw knew Hoffman was never the guy that was going to carry out his legacy, so he needed to get rid of him, so put him in a bear trap. But he skates, but Jigsaw's like, you know what I'm saying? This is a lot, but it's like, a lot of this stuff, these interrelationships between Jigsaw and the two, and Amanda and Hoffman, really need to be explored and developed here. That is the potential of this movie. The main potential of this movie, and the most like the clips that somebody like me will watch of this movie, is the stuff like that with the three characters, right? But more because like that's where this movie can be truly special. A lot of the traps in this honestly look familiar. There's a leg thing that kind of looks like the thing in Jigsaw where the guy falls through the floor and gets his leg cut off, right? Because he didn't follow the rules. That one looks familiar. There's something that looks like the thing in Spiral, where the water dumps on him, but it's like not water, it's acid or some shit. There's one that looks like that. Like, there are a lot of the traps in here, honestly, are looking kind of familiar. So who cares about them? Obviously they're the main appeal, quote unquote, and it's the main carnage candy of the movie. So like the traps have a role in the movie, obviously, but it's like the character work has potential to be very special here. Some of the best since the second one, where you got that, like the second one is my favorite one because it's Jigsaw, but it's Jigsaw the movie. He sits down with the detective the whole time and just talks for 15 minutes, and it's really good, right? He just talks about his backstory a little bit, and that's like the best sequence in the movie. It's great, right? And like I like 6 the best because not 6 the best. I like 6 as well because you get all those flashbacks of him talking with the big health insurance dude that ends up screwing him, right? He ends up screwing him and leaving him because he tries another operation, which, I mean, he tries to get another experimental operation, which now you could look at the guy in 6 and go, okay, remember when you tried this last time and it didn't work? Or maybe he tried the other one first, the guy disapproved it. Like, you could talk about 6 a little bit, too, about how he disapproved it, so Kramer's going behind his back to try this one, which is a lot more sketchy, and then that's when he gets screwed, right? There's a lot, I mean, the Saw timeline, discussions about Saw are always best when they're about the timeline. and how convoluted it all is. And of course, you can just laugh at some of the stuff in it, like how there's HD TVs in Jigsaw, and Dr. Gordon has a pager like a year later, right? And like a lot of it doesn't make any sense. But that's the best part about it, trying to rationalize it, trying to make it all make sense. So, you know, that's all my, like, again, I think that's Hoffman, and it really should be, and Hoffman should be a major part of this movie. But looking at this shot here, oh, what's that? We're going back to the bathroom at some point. Somebody's strung up in the bathroom. So you got the tub, there's, looks like the toilet seat. I don't know if that's Zeb or Adam, but then you got, there's like, what is that, the tape that Jigsaw held? Does that his blood trail, his fake blood stuff? So yeah, the bathroom's coming back.
Please, don't hesitate. Place a big enough piece of your cerebral tissue into the glass enzyme tank. This will save your life.
So sleep, silent
This is not retribution. It's a reawakening.
This is not retribution, it's a reawakening. Who's he saying that to? Like, in my mind, that has to be Hoffman. He has to be talking to Hoffman. Because there's a scene in 5 where Jigsaw tells Hoffman, as they're setting up the game for Saw 2, that it can never be personal. But at the same time, this is in between 1 and 2, so, like, they set the game up first, so maybe that could be an argument for Hoffman not being in this. But at the same time, that could have also just been a reminder. Like, in my mind, Hoffman has to be in this. And, like, that has to be something, like, it has to be something Hoffman's interrogating him about. In my mind, I think. It also could be to Amanda, but it might, like, it has to be Hoffman to me. Hoffman makes more sense for him to be saying that line to.
Live or die.
They're just pointing the gun to his head there. Okay, I didn't quite get it, did I? There's somebody was pointing the gun at his head, right? You see how somebody was pointing the gun at his head? That could be the detective. It could, but it also could be Hoffman again, because Hoffman's a psychopath, right? It could be Hoffman having a rage about some shit. Maybe he's mad about the philosophy not making sense, or John's holding him back or something. You know, there's something that could be, and Hoffman just gets mad and pulls the gun on Jigsaw. And Jigsaw's got to talk him down. That's why he doesn't look too concerned there, because it's probably just Hoffman. Like, it's probably just Hoffman having another sissy fit. He's probably dealt with 6 of those, right?
Live or die. The choice is yours.
There, he's hugging somebody there. That's probably Amanda, is my guess. I don't know if the wife character, Jill, is confirmed to be in this. Probably shouldn't be. But, who's he hugging? Probably Amanda. And, of course, there's the Amanda reveal, and that's the trailer. Good stuff, bro. Good stuff. Again, it's nothing groundbreaking, nothing exceptional, but it's like, we're gonna, I think fans are being a little more lenient on this one, because, like, we know what it is, they know what it is, and they know what to show. They know. The people that the reason this is so much better than the Exorcist trailer, in my opinion, is because the fucking people that made this clearly love the franchise they're doing, for one. Of course, it's their babies. They get, like, the Saw crew is very unified, and that a lot of the same people work on all of them. So there's, like, a lot of understanding. There's, like, a lot of understanding that it takes place. And it's like Tobin Bell rewrites his own lines. Tobin Bell reads the script before he approves of his own involvement. So the fact that he's involved is always a good sign. It's inherently. He always reads and approves the script. I remember an interview for, I think it was Jigsaw, that the most nervous thing they were was when they sent the script to Tobin. Because if Tobin doesn't do it, the thing falls apart. So, but of course, Tobin approved Jigsaw, and his scenes were the best things in Jigsaw, because of course they were. They always are. So, like, you got that little brush of confidence, and it's like the same people are always involved. The whole crew's back. Amanda's back. Like, everyone, like, this looks like this just looks like an hour and like, and maybe people call this trash. I know AQ in my Discord server wasn't a big fan of the idea. It's just going to be an hour, 45 minutes of fan service. And you know what? I think for Saw, at this point in its life, that's really all you need. Take my money. I don't give a shit. I don't care, dude. I just want to just entertain me for an hour. Give me, it's like a reunion. This one in particular just feels like a reunion with old friends. We're going back to 2005 or whatever the fuck, where it's 2004, 05. to 05, 04, 05, 06. Is that 1, 2, and 3? Like, we're going back to that era of the franchise. We're getting Amanda back in it. Hoffman's probably going to be in it. You can't have this without him. I really don't think you can. And then Jigsaw's in it, and it's got the old school looking feel. The old school, John's doing it again. It's not just some guy you don't know, especially Jigsaw. It's not just some weirdo you don't know. That's a really convoluted thing. But it's just like, it looks good. And it looks good, and it's like, bringing back Amanda shows we're going to start tying this, and the bathroom's in it again. We're tying it into some other continuity stuff. So it's like, it's going to, like, of course, that means you probably have to watch all fucking 9 of them again to understand what's going on. You could probably skip Spiral. I'm assuming that's not going to be important. But you really don't, because at the same time, it's just watch 1, 2, and 3. I think the only required viewing before you go into this one is 1, 2, and 3. Maybe 6, too. Maybe 6, ironically, so you can kind of get the Amanda Hoffman situation and where they're leading to with that. But, you know, I'm excited. I see nothing but good things in this movie. Again, nothing groundbreaking. It's not going to be a masterpiece. It's probably going to not, it has no chance of being better than a 7 or out of 10. That's the maximum. That's the ceiling for this movie. Its floor is like a 3 out of 10, and its ceiling is like a 7. So, like, that's where we are. This movie's probably going to be mid. But at the same time, it's like, who cares about the Saw movie's objective quality? I think we all stopped caring about that after 4, right? I think after 4, it's like, okay, we're just gonna run this shit show into the ground at this point, huh? That's what we're doing? Yeah, because 4 was that's kind of what 4 was. It was just, we're just gonna run this into the ground, and that's what we did, bro. And then we ran into the ground, and the ideas outstayed its welcome. It took a break, and then they came back with 2 reboots, and we're still trying to figure out what we're doing with this shit, right? And so going back to this. And going back to, oh, okay, now we can fucking get Tobin Bell back in this. And you know what? Tobin Bell's not getting any younger. If you're going to remake Saw, like Saw's one of those that could actually benefit from a remake, provided you get Tobin Bell in it. If Tobin Bell's in the fucking movie, then you can remake it. I honestly think that. I wouldn't, I think what Saw needs is a new trilogy. Like Saw Rebirth, like that's what the first one can be called, or whatever. Like you just kind of remake it, right, and do one good trilogy. Because like my biggest issue with Saw 3 is Jeff never felt like the character that was supposed to kill Jigsaw. But at the same time, it's like Jigsaw, he doesn't really have that luxury of deciding who's going to do that anyway because of where he is. It just felt like somebody on the police force should have done it. Eric Matthews would have been a good character to give that luxury to, because they had a little bit of build up. But Jeff, you know, this is all review for another day, but and what Saw objectively needs. But it's like what we see here, I really enjoy what we're seeing here, and it's giving me a lot to think about. It's getting me back invested in the timeline. I think the trailer did its job. Alrighty, I'm getting the hell out of here, lads. GG's.